Blessings and peace to you. This is Sbfavor Thinking Podcast, and my name is Sbfavor. How are you doing today? It is Sunday, September 14th, 2025. Another wonderful day and another day to be thankful. And as I always say, if you focus on what is good, then you can project something good to happen when you focus on the positive things, because there are no benefits to focusing on the negative things. So focus on what is good. I hope that you are having a very good Sunday. I hope that you had a good weekend. It's a relaxing Sunday for me personally, and it's a good day. And we all need to, like I said, focus on what is good. If you are out there traveling about today, make sure that you stay focused. Don't be on your cell phone too much in the public, because if you are, that means you are distracted. So make sure you pray and make sure you stay focused while you are in the public. Okay? Also, if you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $Sbfavor, or you can give at Venmo at Sbfavor. Once again, if you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $Sbfavor, or you can give at Venmo at Sbfavor, and that is the @ symbol Sbfavor on Venmo. Okay, thank you so much for your support and your donations. Lastly, I would like to remind you, if you would like to take English lessons, or if you know someone that would like to take public speaking lessons, or just to enhance how you speak, you can make an appointment at icsbiz1.com, icsbiz1.com, and that's icsbiz1.com. Make an appointment, and you can improve, and you will improve how you speak. Okay? All right, so moving right along, the title of this episode is Acknowledging What is True. Yes, acknowledging what is true. This week has been somewhat challenging. A lot has been going on in America, and I had something on my mind concerning this title, Acknowledging What is True. And what was on my mind was how sometimes people can do something, say something, act a certain way, and then call it something else. For an example, if you say something to me that is very, very hateful, should I say that what you said is loving? No. We have to call a thing a thing. And what do I mean by that? If someone says something or does something, we have to acknowledge it for what it really is. We have to do that. A lot of times people, they tend to add a little sugar to some things. And what do I mean by that? They try to make it seem like what is true is not true at all. For an example, in this country, we have a lot of different leaders that will say different things that are not good. We have leaders in this country that will speak hate, and then they will turn around and say that is true or is love, and it's not. We really have to acknowledge what is true and what is not true. And I'm talking about calling a thing, acknowledging something for what it really is. If I sat here on this podcast and I spoke a lot of hate out of my mouth, what would you call me? You would say she speaks a lot of hate, right? Yes, you would say that. If I spoke a lot of hate out of my mouth, you can't say that I'm a loving person. Now, if I speak a lot of love to people, and if I speak a lot of motivating words to people, you could say, okay, well, she speaks a lot of motivating words. So what I am saying is this: acknowledging what is true will keep you from deception. We have to face reality head on. And I'm not talking about making up things and not seeing things for what they really are. I'm talking about seeing something for what it really is. When you hear something, when you see something, don't be deceived to add sugar to what is sour. That's a metaphor. If I was to hear someone speak something to me that is not good, then I'm simply going to say what they have just said is not good. So we have to acknowledge what is true by what we see and by what we hear. Because the moment you don't acknowledge what is true, that means you are deceived, and you do not want to be deceived. As much as I love my family, as much as I love my daughter, if my daughter does something wrong, I would have to acknowledge whatever wrong she did. Now, if my daughter does something right, I have to acknowledge the good that she does. So the point of what I'm saying is this. Acknowledging what is true helps you. Acknowledge what you hear. Acknowledge what you see. Don't try to put a spin on it and add sugar to what is sour. We have to face reality head on. Stop avoiding what is obvious. The sooner you admit what is real, the sooner you can move forward. Detach from ego, because truth is often blocked by pride. Letting go of ego allows you to see things as they are, not how you wish they were. As much as I love people, when I'm watching TV and I'm listening to the news, I don't look at people and just project that they will do something or say something wrong, because I try to look at everything through a positive lens. But if I'm watching the news and I hear a leader, or if I hear my favorite celebrity say something really, really bad, I'm going to acknowledge the fact that this person said what they said. And at the same time that I acknowledge what is being said, I'm going to hold that person accountable. Anytime we don't hold a leader, or if we don't hold someone accountable for what they say and what they do, what does that say about us as individuals, or as a family, or as a group? We have to hold leaders and people accountable. And I am not talking about being upset with them. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about condemning them. I'm not talking about hating them. I'm talking about acknowledging what is true. When you hear someone do something, when you hear someone or see someone acting a certain way that is not good, don't take sugar to add it to what is sour. Call sugar, sugar, and call what is sour, sour. Listen before reacting. Sometimes the truth comes from others, and we have to practice fully. When the truth comes from others, we have to practice fully listening without defending ourselves as well. But the point of the matter is this. Acknowledging what is true. It is a place that in your mind, it is a place in your mind that you can protect yourself from being deceived. Separate facts from feelings. And what does that mean? Feelings are real, but they are not also facts. Truth is clearer when you distinguish between what is feelings and what is factual. Know the difference. Ask honest questions. If you are having some trouble to acknowledge what is true, ask honest questions. Don't be afraid to ask. What is really happening here? This can help you to understand what is really happening. Ask yourself that question. What's really happening here? So that you can acknowledge what is true. We all have imperfections. But when something happens, you have to acknowledge what is true. Your eyes are not deceiving you. Your ears are not deceiving you. If you're looking at the television or if you are listening to something online and you hear what you heard, guess what? You are not being deceived. Acknowledge what is true. Look at the evidence. Accept imperfections. Embrace discomfort. What do I mean by embracing discomfort? Sometimes when you hear something or if you see something that's not good and you have to acknowledge it for what it is, it might be uncomfortable. So embrace the discomfort. Truth is not always pleasant. Growth comes from looking at and sitting with the things that might be uncomfortable. Be transparent with yourself. Journal. Do self-reflection. Aim to focus on what is factual. Because when you practice living that way, acknowledging what is true, you can escape being in a place mentally deceived. There's a lot going on across the world today. And I'm talking about this because last week a lot happened in America. And I'm not going to mention any names of anyone specifically because I do not like to do that on this podcast. But I will say this. Something happened last week. And there was a man that is no longer with us anymore. He was in a bad situation. And a lot of people kept calling this person a good person. This person passed away. And after he passed away, they kept saying, he's a good man. He was a good man. He was a good man. And the first question I posed to myself was this: how can someone be considered to be a good man if every time I heard them speak, they spoke hate out of their mouth? Now, if, like I just gave you the example, if I said on this podcast in every episode, and all I talked about was how much I didn't like other races, or how much I didn't like someone, or how much I didn't like certain groups of people, what would you think of me? You would say that I have a problem with that. You would be uncomfortable. So if you are watching something on TV, or if you come into the presence of someone that is doing something or acting in a way that is not positive, like I said, I'm not saying to hate anybody or dislike anybody, but what I'm saying is acknowledge the truth for what it is. This young man that passed away last week, every time I heard this person speak, he didn't say anything good. So how can I perceive this person as a good person when I never heard him say anything that was good? There are homeless people. There are people that are very poor around the world. There are people that have no right or no access to education. There are people that are suffering on all levels of life all around the world. And we have people people around the world that have tons of money. And they have the access and the ability to solve some of the problems that are going on across the world. And I always ask this question. If a rich man has billions and billions of dollars and cares nothing about the homeless, or he cares nothing about the poor, what does that make him? I don't even have to answer that question for you. You already have the answer. So what I am saying is this: acknowledge the truth for what it is. Because when we spend our energy and when we focus on acknowledging what is true, then we escape, then we will escape a mindset of deception. I'm a little serious right now talking about this topic because I want you to understand that when someone is doing something wrong, you can't call it good. And when someone is doing something right, you can't call it bad. Acknowledging what is true is something that we have to do every single day. No matter what is going on, no matter how uncomfortable it is, we have to acknowledge what is true. I will not call a person that is showing negative behavior. I will not look at that person and say, "Oh, he's a good man," or she's a good woman. If a person is doing something wrong or saying something wrong, a public person, a private person, if they're saying something wrong, doing something wrong, I will acknowledge it for what it is. And you need to do the same thing. Acknowledge what is true, not to be deceived to think something else that is not true. Sadly, in this hour that we live, there are a lot of people that will call bad good and call good bad. This world is in a serious situation right now. And I admonish you to hold on to God and to remember what Jesus said. And if you don't know what Jesus said, pick up the Bible and read Matthew, Luke, and John in the red. That's the words of Jesus. And I know there are a lot of people out there, sometimes they don't even want to read the Bible because they say things like, "Oh, well, things have been changed." Well, if you have an issue with that, I will ask you to just simply pray. Ask God to reveal what is true to you. Because there is a lot going on. I had to say what I have already said in this episode because it is important for us to acknowledge what is true. When something is good and you hear that it's good and you see that it's good, when it comes to humanity, and when it comes to how we should treat one another, how we should speak to one another, and how we should talk about one another, what's good is good and what's bad is bad. So acknowledge what is true. Don't be deceived in your thinking. Acknowledge what is true. Like I said, I'm a little serious during this episode because this topic is important to me, and because there is so much going on in the world, we have to stay connected to what is true. Don't be deceived in your thinking. Acknowledge what is true. Thank you so much for listening to Sbfavor Thinking Podcast. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at sbfavor@yahoo.com via email. You can also find me on Facebook, YouTube. Subscribe to me there, please. Thank you. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok. And wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find me there. I'm normally very, very laid back, and I love to smile and laugh and just talk crazy to you, but today is not one of those days. It's not one of those days because this topic is serious. Acknowledge what is true. Don't call something bad good, because if you do, check yourself. Okay? Thank you for listening. And I will be back later this week with more episodes. And I will laugh with you. Okay? I know I was serious today, but thank you for listening. Share this podcast with someone that needs to be encouraged. This topic is just to remind you that we got to focus on what is good, and we got to make sure we stay in contact and connected with what is true. All right? Have a good day.